guys, it's Jasmine, and today on my channel I'm going to be starting off a new series of breakfast. Breakfast, as the most important meal of the day, starts a whole entire day of studying and working. So today we're going to be making the easiest recipe for pancakes. So let's get started. For the ingredients you will need, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, 1 large egg that is lightly beaten, 1 cup of milk that is warm about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that is melted, you could also use oil here, and 1 tablespoon of icing sugar that is optional because this is just for decoration. Pancakes are overall fairly easy to make. You will only be needing 2 bowls, 1 bowl for the dry ingredients and 1 bowl for the wet ingredients. We're going to be starting off mixing together our dry ingredients, which includes the sugar, the flour, salt, and baking powder. And I'm going to mix that all together. You want to really mix together the dry ingredients so that the baking powder is evenly distributed throughout the flour so that it doesn't clump up on its own later on when we add the wet ingredients. So that's done, and now to start off the wet ingredients, I'm going to crack in 1 egg in another bowl. For the wet ingredients, I beaten up 1 egg, and for the milk, it should be kind of warm, not cold. You could weather measure it. It should be about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or you could just dip your finger into it, and it should feel kind of warm. Now just pour the milk into the egg. And add the butter as well, and this should be melted, but if you don't want to use butter, you could substitute that with oil as well. And mix that in until everything is combined. That's all mixed in. Now I'm going to add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. But first I'm going to make a little hole inside the dry ingredients. And now I'm going to pour the wet ingredients inside the little hole we just made. Now for the mixing part, make sure not to overmix this or the finishing pancake will not be fluffy. It might have some lumps afterwards, but that's okay. So I'm just going to do this with a spatula. You want to mix it just until all the flour is wet and then stop mixing. This is ready. As you can see, there are still some lumps here, but that's okay. As long as all the flour is wet, that is ready. And now I'm going to set this aside for about 10 minutes until bubbles starts to form on the top. While we're waiting for the bubbles to form on the top, you could prepare your fruits. Today I have some strawberries, some blueberries, but you could just really use whatever fruit you have on hand. My batter is ready. As you can see, there are quite a bit of little bubbles on the top. It took me about 5 minutes for it to reach this bubbliness, but it really depends on the temperature of where you put the batter. And now we are ready to cook them. To see if the pan is hot enough to put the batter onto it, just take a little bit of water, sprinkle that on top of the pan. And if it starts to sizzle like that, turn it down to medium heat and we are ready to start scooping our batter. I have an ice cream scoop here to make sure that all the pancakes are even. I'm just going to take a big scoop of that and put it onto the pan. I'm going to be cooking 3 pancakes at a time. When you put the batter onto the pan, do not touch it. Just let it cook until bubbles start to form on the top. That means you could start flipping it. I have a nice and flat spatula here so that I could just slip it right on the pancake, flip it over, and do not dent the pancakes. And we're done with the pancakes. And that's how you make easy pancakes. I made 8 pancakes in total for this recipe, and there are 3 tips to make sure you do to get them perfect. The first tip is to make sure that the milk is warm, not cold, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The second tip is to make sure you do not overbeat the batter or else the pancakes will become too dense and not fluffy. And the third tip is to make sure that you cook them on medium-low heat for about 2 minutes, flipping only once in between. Pancakes go good with milk, syrup, butter, and any type of fruit you have on hand, and they're also best eaten warm. I have more videos on my channel on how to make breakfast. Go check them out if you want to learn how. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye!